All right, welcome to a brand new hour of CBS Sports HQ. I'm Grace Remington with Amanda Guerra. Now, if you guys thought we were high on the drama yesterday with all that Bachelorette talk, later on in the show, we're talking college quarterbacks, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, which personally I think, Amanda, the best reality TV out there. But don't worry, we're not done with the NBA just yet. We're getting closer and closer to the free agency frenzy.
Yeah, that is going to start tomorrow. And we're going to see what's going to happen here because so far we think a lot of guys might just really end up staying with the teams that they're with right now. But it's the NBA. And as you mentioned, a free agency frenzy. Some of the top names we're keeping an eye on, guys like Kyrie Irving. Is he potentially going to stay there in Dallas? Of course, we heard that he potentially is going to be meeting with the Suns there. James Harden has to decide if he's going to stay in Philadelphia and chase a championship with them or head back home to Houston. Let's welcome in our very good friend here, Avery Johnson. Now, Avery, you are a man of the people. You always know exactly what to say. We're going to throw some chaos at you, though. We're going to ask you, because this is the NBA, some of these things could potentially happen. Crazier things have happened. The most chaotic landing spots for some of these potential free agents here. Let's start with James Harden. What would be so chaotic for him?
Well, probably for him to join LeBron James and the Lakers. That would be a little chaotic, especially for the rest of the league, because if you combine, if they can figure it out from a cap standpoint or signing trades, we know all of those deals are going to come in play. But James Harden playing with LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the ball, obviously, he needs to improve playing off the ball, but really taking a lot of pressure off LeBron James and all of his ball handling duties. Obviously, LeBron James is a much more effective spot-up shooter at this stage of his career than he was early in his career. But can you imagine LeBron James setting a pick and roll with James Harden, or Anthony Davis in pick and rolls, or LeBron James in an isolation standpoint situation and James Harden is spotting up for three-point shots? Wow, that would catapult the Los Angeles Lakers to be one of the favorites to win the championship. So who knows? James Harden got a big decision to make. I see him opting out of this $35.6 million contract, becoming a free agent, even if that means returning back to the 76ers. But a chaotic landing spot for him would be the Los Angeles Lakers. Not necessarily for James Harden, but for the rest of the league.
I was just about to say, not necessarily for James Harden or even the Lakers, but that would be chaotic for the rest of the NBA. What about Kyrie? Look, he's just down the road from there in Dallas. I think you can maybe argue anywhere he goes, maybe a little chaotic. What would be the most chaotic landing spot for him, though?
Well, I would say the New Orleans Pelicans, because you add Kyrie Irving to this roster. There have been some off the court situations with Zion Williamson. We know that's well publicized. He's had some weight issues. But I would believe that if Kyrie Irving landed in a Pelicans uniform, Zion Williamson would come back in the best shape of his life, because you add him to that roster. In a situation like that, who knows what they would have to give up? Probably some of their younger players on the bench, some future draft picks. But you can imagine him with Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, my goodness, Herb Jones, who's one of the rising young players in the NBA. The shooting that they have, they've added shooting in the draft with their 14th pick this year. Man, Kyrie Irving with the Pelicans, you talking about chaotic, that would send a strong message. And I think the New Orleans Pelicans would go from a play-in situation to a top 4 team in the Western Conference.
I just imagine Kyrie showing up outside of Zion's home with a whistle every morning, being like, 3 a.m., we're running, buddy. Chris Middleton, it looks like he's going to return to the Bucks here. You said a chaotic landing spot for him, though, would be the Heat. And we do need to mention the Heat have a lot of decisions to make with their free agents. Why would this be such a chaotic pairing?
Well, and again, I'm quantifying chaos, right? I'm thinking more for the rest of the Eastern Conference. If
Gotcha.
Chris Middleton is joining Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, with his size, his versatility on the wing, this probably would mean that they would be out of the Damian Lillard sweepstakes. So if you add a Chris Middleton to this team, now you're talking about a team that if they're returned to the NBA Finals and they're matched up with the Denver Nuggets, they'll have a much better chance of beating the Denver Nuggets with Middleton and Jimmy Butler on the wing. Both guys are two-way players. Middleton could create wide open shots for Jimmy Butler and vice versa. And now you can have a guy that can try to slow down a Jamal Murray and Jimmy Butler. Or, remember Aaron Gordon really played extremely well against the Miami Heat in the finals with his size. Well, now you got another guy that's just as strong, just as versatile, as athletic in a guy like Chris Middleton. So I would love to see him create some chaos in the rest of the Eastern Conference or in the rematch with the Denver Nuggets if he were to land with the Miami Heat.
That would be a fun one. That'd be a great rematch. Here's what you're doing. You're putting the rest of the NBA on notice. You're creating championship teams here. Draymond Green, and I have notes. I read ahead to what you said here, and I couldn't see it in my head, and I looked it up. You have him going to the Mavericks to be chaotic. And I will say, there's a Photoshop of him in a Mavs uniform. Doesn't look that weird. Why would this create such chaos, and do we see Kyrie still stay there?
Well, if Draymond lands with the Mavericks, and the Mavericks are able to retain Kyrie, now you're talking about a team where Luka Doncic can get off the ball a little bit more because he has so many ball handling responsibilities. We know Kyrie can play off the ball because he did it with LeBron James. But if you can add Draymond to this team, and guess what? Now they become a little bit more competitive on the defensive end. That creates a lot of chaos for the Western Conference because he's not with the Golden State Warriors. He lands with the Dallas Mavericks. They become a better defensive team because we know that's not one of Kyrie Irving's and Luka Doncic's forte. They get better rim protection, a guy to take more charges, but his passing ability to be able to pass the ball to guys like Luka as they're cutting to the basket, creating wide open shots for Kyrie Irving, the same way he did for Steph Curry for all those years. So I would love to see this move if Draymond Green can't find a contract situation multi-year with returning to the Golden State Warriors to land and create some serious chaos in the Western Conference with the Dallas Mavericks.
Avery, a lot of these guys, there's a decent chance they could be returning to their teams there, though Fred VanVleet might be maybe the most likely to move. What's a chaos situation for him?
Wow. Well, first of all, it would be chaotic for him if he returns to the Toronto Raptors because they're not going anywhere. They're in a rebuilding mode, even if the rest of the fans in Toronto doesn't know it. But can you imagine Fred VanVleet if they're not able to re-sign James Harden in a Philadelphia 76ers uniform, playing for his coach, and comparing him with Joel Embiid? Nick Nurse obviously won a championship as his coach in Toronto. He knows Fred VanVleet really well. This guy, pairing him with Tyrese Maxey in the backcourt, they'll be a little bit undersized, but this guy makes big shots. He's got deep range. I believe he would stay a little bit healthier than James Harden. He's proven that overall in his career. So I would love to see Fred VanVleet if James Harden decides to go and sign with a team like the Los Angeles Lakers or the Houston Rockets, for him to land in Philly, create some chaos, and who knows, maybe in the 7-game series with the Boston Celtics, he plays better than James Harden in a game 6 when you're up 3-2, and maybe they upset the Boston Celtics and they have a chance to play against the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals and advance to the finals.
Avery, within this segment, I have upgraded you from coach to owner to now commissioner of HQ or the NBA, because I like everything that you're doing here, friend. Avery Johnson.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's so hot here in Dallas. It's 108 degrees outside. You see me. I got my summer look.
You have short sleeves on. You never have short sleeves on.
Yes, today I do. I'm fired up. I got to stay cool, Amanda.
All right, try to stay cool. Jack wants you to show off your guns, but I'm not going to make you unless you want to, because we all know Avery Johnson. Look, there he goes. Look at that, coach. Go back and play, man. Go back and play. We need the little general back out there. Avery Johnson looking great in Dallas. Upcoming NBA dates. Today, the deadline for teams or players to make a decision on those player options. Obviously, a lot of people, including James Harden, have to make a decision. Tomorrow, first day of free agency.